Samsung and SK Hynix are set to spend almost $900 billion to invest in South Korea's AI build-out. The investment will see the two companies build 2 chip-making plants in the country. Dan Howley's been following this story. Dan, such an interesting story because obviously we've seen a lot of investment here in the U.S., but this is like another scale in terms of what these two companies are planning.
Yeah, I mean, Samsung and SK Hynix are two of the largest memory makers in the world. The other one being Micron, which is here in the U.S. This is part of the kind of broader effort to increase capacity. We're in the midst of a memory shortage, a global memory shortage. It's now starting to, finally hit consumers' pockets, something that, we've been talking about for some time. But, now it's kind of time to pay up, essentially, with Apple raising their prices, Microsoft raising prices on their devices, smartphones from Samsung being more expensive. And yeah, so what they're looking to do here is build 4 new manufacturing facilities in the southwest part of the country and basically kind of increase overall capacity for chips and semiconductors there. This is, obviously a massive amount of spending, nearly $250 billion or a little more than $250 billion each from the two companies. And it comes as, they're both kind of riding high as a result of this kind of massive global AI build out. They make components that are absolutely essential to these data centers. And, companies like Nvidia, AMD, all the rest, they rely on those components. And so this is, obviously they see the advantage here, but it's also part of, the South Korean government saying, hey, we got to make sure that we're able to compete in this space. We don't want to just, give up kind of our capabilities to Taiwan or the U.S. when it comes to these components. So we have to start manufacturing more of our own.
How does Korea's announcement compare to other regional plans? I mean, they really want to be at the forefront of this.
Yeah, it's pretty big. So the two companies who have sort of spearheaded this announcement around, as you say, about $500 billion of expenditure are SK Hynix and Samsung. So they've pledged to build new chip fabs, which means the infrastructure you need to make chips. And as we know, chips are pretty integral to the AI boom because we need them to power the AI data centers that are currently being built by companies like Microsoft, Google, etc. These two companies account for 80% of the world's market share for memory chips, so they're a pretty big deal inside and outside of Korea, and so sort of it is a very large expenditure plan. It's not outside the realms of what everyone else is doing. The US is spending many billions of dollars across its different companies for AI data infrastructure. You've got China with an approximately $300 billion plan to build similar infrastructure. That's more being driven by the state rather than private enterprises. The EU sadly is lagging much behind. We're talking sub $100 billion really for the EU's plans to build AI infrastructure. So the EU is sort of lowest on the list, but everyone else is in a similar position.
Exactly where we're going to start. This downdraft we have seen in tech, particularly in hyperscalers and things that aren't memory chips. Your thoughts?
Look, I think it's a bifurcated market. And ultimately, it's those that are spending the CapEx, the Microsofts, the Metas, we've seen with Alpha as well. I mean, look, those are essentially in the penalty box right now. I mean, I'd say some getting treated almost like bear market stocks when you look at Microsoft and others. Memory, the golden childs, they're the ones sort of running to the bank relative to what they can continue to raise prices. But I think this does start to reverse over the next 6-9 months because as you see monetization, I think July, when we see earnings in terms of 2Q, that's actually going to be a pretty big catalyst for the hyperscalers and big tech.
Yeah, memory at some point here with the shortages, with the prices we're seeing, spot market prices for memory chips, for example. I mean, at what point do we tip over into demand destruction, or do we not? Because it's so necessary in terms of this AI infrastructure build out.
Look, I mean, it's a select group of companies, and you're not going to all of a sudden find another one that's going to be building memory. That's why the cost being caught up 90-95% this year. But you're not going to have equilibrium for another 18-24 months. And that's what we saw with Apple. I mean, those are necessary price increases, but
those are big price increases.
Look, they're big price increases, but I think when you look at iPhone, you'll probably have caught $150, $200 price increases, depending on the different tiers. I think maybe that could be scaled down, but they're not going to eat those price increases. I mean, they need to ultimately make sure that their margins hold up. You see with Microsoft as well, but demand destruction. We think it's pretty de minimis. I mean, in terms of for Apple, for Microsoft, I think some of the reactions we've seen probably maybe a bit of overreaction, but this is a fourth industrial revolution. Trillions of dollars are going to be spent. You will have a normalization. I think the reaction we've seen on the hyperscalers, Mags, have been way, I think, overdone. It's created the opportunities.
So you would be investing in hyperscalers right now?
I mean, to me, I think some of these, like I've said, these are way oversold names. Microsoft, Oracle. If I look at Alphabet relative to losing a few engineers to Anthropic, important, but I think that's an overreaction. And I think Meta, it's a prove me period for Zuck to show that the monetization is now going to start. And I think we're going to see this reverse over the next 6-9 months. That would probably be my view is second half of the year. Mag 7 is probably a significant outperformer relative to what we've seen this year.
Interesting. Just to go back to memory, we know it's been a boom-bust cycle. We'll say it's very cyclical for a very long time. The argument's out there, and Micron CEO has made it, for example, that we've shifted into this secular growth period. But when you hear about SK Hynix and Samsung putting more money to work to build out more fab and more memory capacity, and we know Micron and others are doing the same, does that actually trigger another cycle here over the longer term?
Look, it's a memory super cycle. And that's the I mean, we're talking about something that's going to be for the next few years. That's why, we've been bullish on memory because of our view. This is not something that's all of a sudden a boom and bust cycle. I spent so much time in Korea, and I think you've seen in the Cosmic, that is the centerpiece, the foundation of memory. And those right now, it's their world, everyone else is paying rent. And that's going to continue to play out. It's bullish for memory, but it speaks to you're seeing the data center, but more data centers are being built today than are active. That just speaks to what we're going to see on the hyperscalers, on enterprise, on consumer AI. We're still third inning, one out relative to this AI game, despite the bears yelling fire in a crowded theater.
Although Nvidia's stock has cooled off this summer, the Wall Street price target claims that the decline appears to be a setup for future gains. Even while Wall Street is still overwhelmingly optimistic, shares ended the week at $192.53 on June 26, 2026, down 8.62%. The most popular megacap in the AI build is Nvidia, and according to our model, the recent decline opens up more opportunities for growth. Nvidia's Wall Street price forecast for the upcoming year is $245.91, indicating a 27.73% increase. With a 90% confidence level, which we deem high, the advise is to buy. Although Nvidia is up 3.36% year-to-date and 24.36% over the previous year, the last month has been terrible, with shares down 9.34%. The stock is considerably above the $151.29 low and 27% behind its 52-week high of $236.26. The fundamentals are still intact. Revenue for the first quarter of FY 2027 was $81.615 billion, up 85.23% year-over-year, while non-GAAP EPS of $1.87 exceeded forecasts. Networking revenue tripled at 199% increase, while data center revenue hit $246 billion, up 92%. The Q2 forecast was $91 billion. In order to expand the platform beyond just computation, NVIDIA also introduced the BioNeMo Agent Toolkit for life sciences. Why bulls expect a $300 breakout? Blackwell is the key to the bull case. The AI factory build-out has been dubbed the largest infrastructure expansion in human history by CEO Jensen Huang, and NVIDIA has committed $119 billion in supply. Demand is anchored into the Vera Rubin platform through multi-generational agreements with OpenAI, 10GW, Anthropic, 1GW, Meta, Microsoft, Google Cloud, and Oracle. NVIDIA is rated as a buy or strong buy by 58 of the 61 covering analysts, compared to just one seller. 298 or 93 guys is the consensus objective on the street. The bull scenario points to $259.20, or a 34.63% one-year return, if Blackwell 300 ramps at 75% gross margins and Q2 results are close to projections. Focus is the first step in the bear case. Further export tightening affects attitude more than figures, and the model makes the assumption that China data center compute revenue is zero. gross margin risk during design changes, a projected increase in cash tax in Q2, and supply chain dependence on TSMC are all genuine. With Reddit traffic this month highlighting AI stock losses and Chinese model parity on Huawei chips, retail conviction is faltering. 9 recent transactions have been net sales, indicating an increase in insider selling. In response to $20 billion in Q1 buybacks and a new $80 billion repurchase authorization, bulls argue that these are standard 10b5-1 cuts. The bear scenario still yields a 10.62% gain of $212.99. The 24/7 Wall St. price target of $245.91 at $192.53 depends more on actual earnings power than on multiple expansion, and even the bear case is favorable. Important indicators to keep an eye on include whether gross margins remain over 73%, whether export regulations extend beyond H20, and whether Q2 prints above the $91 billion target. It's important keeping a close eye on the recent pullback. If present growth trajectories continue and the AI capex cycle continues through the Vera Rubin generation, here is where the Wall Street price target model predicts Nvidia might trade in the future. These forecasts assume that Nvidia maintains platform leadership through Vera Rubin, and that hyperscaler capital expenditures increase in accordance with existing pledges. A genuine domestic Chinese alternative, or a hyperscaler in-house silicon shift, would compress the trajectory, whilst a reversal of China policy would have significant upside. Investors in Nvidia have had a difficult year because the tech giant's stock has hardly increased in 2026. In contrast, the PHLX Semiconductor Sector Index has seen impressive increases of 79% this year. It is challenging to defend Nvidia's poor performance in the first half of 2026, though. Because of the increased demand for its chips due to artificial intelligence, AI, the company is on track to produce higher results this fiscal year. Will Nvidia's stock rise in the second half of 2026 if the market gives it enough credit for its outstanding financial performance? This autumn, Nvidia plans to start shipping its next-generation Vera Rubin processors. Vera Rubin chip systems are currently in full production, according to the company, and there seems to be a solid demand for these chips. Nvidia announced earlier this year that it has a $1 trillion order queue for the Blackwell and Vera Rubin chip designs for 2026 and 2027, which is why I say this. Compared to the $500 billion in orders it was expecting for 2025 and 2026, that is a major improvement. The Rubin processors will probably account for a sizable portion of those orders. According to CNBC, Nvidia asserts that Vera Rubin will outperform Blackwell systems in terms of performance per watt by 10 times. Companies like Meta Platforms, Anthropic, OpenAI, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are therefore well-positioned to implement these processors to run AI workloads in data centers. Additionally, market research and analysis firm the Futurum Group predicts that Nvidia will raise the cost of Vera Rubin systems by 25%. Therefore, a greater increase in earnings this year could result from an improvement in Nvidia's margin profile. Notably, Nvidia's earnings are expected to rise by 88% to $8.96 per share in fiscal 2027, which ends in January 2027. Compared to Nvidia's 60% earnings increase in fiscal 2026, that would be a notable improvement. According to IDC, the semiconductor industry's sales might reach $1.29 trillion in 2026, a 53% increase. In contrast, Nvidia may see an 82% increase in revenue to $392 billion this fiscal year. Therefore, it's possible that Nvidia's profits will increase more quickly than the semiconductor market as a whole this year. After all, its top-line growth is expected to surpass that of the sector, and an increase in the cost of its Vera Rubin systems may result in higher earnings than analysts anticipate. For this reason, following Nvidia's mediocre performance in the first half of 2026, purchasing the company would be a wise choice. Nvidia stock is currently an incredible deal with a price-to-earnings ratio of 29. The price of the iShares Semiconductor ETF, which follows and makes investments in semiconductor businesses, is far higher at 75 times earnings. Nvidia may experience a significant bull run in the second part of the year as a result of this low valuation. Nvidia's stock price might reach $358 if it trades at even 40 times earnings by the end of the fiscal year and records $8.96 in earnings per share. It would be wise to purchase this AI stock before it begins to rise in the second half of 2026, because there is a potential upside of 85%. Ben Snyder, a strategist at Goldman Sachs, predicted that AI infrastructure equities will account for almost 60% of this quarter's gain in S&P 500 EPS, nearly 75% of the gain in S&P. P500 earnings in Q2 is anticipated to come from the top 10 contributing stocks, with Micron, Nvidia, Exxon, and Broadcom accounting for roughly 54%. When the second quarter reporting season begins in mid-July, investors will have a lot to evaluate. First and foremost, they need to keep an eye on whether hyperscalers like Microsoft and Alphabet can defend their enormous capital expenditures for developing AI infrastructure. Additionally, Wall Street will be closely monitoring how company profits are withstanding 3% inflation and the ongoing supply chain disruptions brought on by the Iran war. To ascertain whether the growing K-shaped consumer gap is further reducing sales volume for bargain stores and luxury goods, corporate direction must also be closely examined. Finally, experts will keep an eye on the banking sector for indications of loan stress and credit tightening, which could have a significant impact on the Federal Reserve's final interest rate decisions for the rest of the year. For a market that is still trading close to its highs, there is a lot to process. Additionally, it's critical that these vital businesses generate significant profits. Earnings have been the sole driver of the S&P 500's 21% return over the last 12 months, so the forthcoming second quarter reporting season will be a significant stimulus for the market's upward trajectory, according to Snyder. With a particular focus on U.S. government agencies and vital infrastructure, Palantir Technologies and Nvidia launched a strategic initiative to provide an intelligent engine for operating Nvidia's Nemotron open models in sovereign situations. According to the firms, Palantir's core infrastructure products, namely AIP, Ontology, Foundry, and Apollo, would be integrated with Nvidia's AI platform, which includes its computational infrastructure, software ecosystem, and Nemotron open models. Government agencies will be able to train AI on their own data, keep complete ownership of the resulting models, and use those models in air-gapped and classified contexts thanks to the joint offering. Explicit data authorization, architecturally enforced customer-specific isolation, secure perimeter enforcement, data portability, the right to erasure, and complete auditability are among the platform's key characteristics, according to the firms. Agencies can improve model performance over time by feeding new data and user feedback back into the system as customized models are utilized in production. This process is referred to by the corporations as a continuous feedback loop. According to a statement from Palantir co-founder and CEO Alex Karp, combining Palantir infrastructure with NVIDIA's AI and Nemotron models will enable the U.S. government to fully utilize LLMs while eliminating the underlying security risks and reasonable concerns about proprietary insights migrating into the weights of closed models. Open source AI is fundamental to public safety, national security, and U.S. technological leadership, according to a statement from NVIDIA founder and CEO Jensen Huang. The partnership provides government agencies with a safe, adaptable, and fully controlled foundation to develop mission-critical AI systems. According to the firms, the offering expands upon their previously announced Sovereign AI Operating System reference architecture. NVIDIA's AI Enterprise Software Bundle, which includes NVIDIA NIM microservices, may support enterprise-grade installations. Palantir's shares gained 3.3% to $116.69 on Monday, continuing a rebound that started on Friday when the stock saw a 5.3% increase to finish a 7-day decline. According to analysts, the company's shares are still down 34% for the year.